Well, the first day people are going to be confused. The second day they're going to start to get irritated. The third day they're going to start to worry. And then it all goes downhill from there. When the lights go out, when people's cars are still working probably and they're able to get out and kind of see what's going on and they see how widespread the lights out situation is, when they can't make their cell phone calls, when they can't reach police or fire services, when they can't reach emergency medical services, they're going to start to wonder what the heck's going on, and confusion is going to erupt. They'll go to the stores, but the stores won't be able to sell them anything because, of course, their registers are down. Some people will have cash. They'll be able to make some kind of deals, probably not from the big stores who really won't be able to sell people things for cash because they won't have any record keeping and they won't want to do it. After about 4 or 5 days, it's kind of, it depends, and people have different opinions on that. Then people are going to start to get a little bit frantic because their worry has now gone into the area of this may be something serious, and they're gonna start stealing. They're gonna start getting a little irritated with each other. Many will have run out of food by then. Water won't be running. They won't be able to refill the fuel in their vehicles. Some people will start starving, but they won't realize it yet. Some people will start getting sick because they haven't been able to get any clean water, because those who are on city or rural water that's dispersed through pumping stations and such of that, and even the gravity in the water towers, they will have stopped running because the water towers won't be able to have been refilled with the pumps. And then society starts to crumble. Welcome to integrative preparedness, and welcome to the possibility, some say the probability. As a matter of fact, scientists tell us the probability of what is to come. And what is that? A CME. We have two. I'm going to read you the article here. For those of you who are new, by the way, welcome. It's good to see you here. It's good to have you here. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Steve Smith. I am the author of the Stone Knot series, a complete series of books about the collapse of the world as a result of CME. And the news today has something for us, and I want to read it to you and let you know it's something that should be taken seriously. I know that everyone is wound up with the tariffs and the possibility of civil war and world war and all these different things that the people try to get you worried about. But here is something that is not just a probability, scientists tell us, but a certainty. Okay, and that is, maybe I should back up and just read you a squib from my second book, The Revival. And they're headed at us right now. There's a double CME coming at us right now. And so that's what I want to talk about. If you're not familiar with what a CME is, it's a coronal mass ejection. And from the preface of the second book here, I'm going to read just a couple of things. If a Carrington class CME struck Earth today, and I have explained before what that is, a Carrington class is essentially a class of CME that would take out all the electronics and the electrical supply lines in the world. Some will say it's only on the side of the Earth facing the sun at the time. Others dispute that, because what happens is the plasma of the coming off of the sun interacts with the electromagnetic force of the Earth, and it will disperse. Now, we have some really smart people. As a matter of fact, Hondo Bob over on our Patreon channel can explain the science of this very well. If you're interested in that, join us over there. I can tell you about preparing for and surviving it. Let me continue with this, and then I'll tell you about the one that's headed at us, okay? So if a Carrington-class CME struck Earth today, it would destroy all electrical grids and electronic components worldwide. Now, there's, since I wrote this, I think this one came out in 2018, there has been some disagreements on whether it would take out, circuits, electronic components that weren't hooked up to the grid, but it doesn't matter because nothing that relies on the grid would be able to operate. Okay, we would immediately be back in a world without electricity. A nuclear-induced electromagnetic pulse, or EMP, would have the same effect in the target area. In either case, the EMP Commission estimates that 90% of those in affected areas would be dead within 1 year from starvation, disease, accidents, and the violence that accompanies societal collapse. How probable is this? In their 2012 report, the American Geophysical Union projected a 12% chance that a Carrington-class CME would strike the Earth within the next decade. Is that what we have coming at us? It's impossible to know yet, but we're going to know Friday, they say. It'll get here on Friday. And this is an unusual one. Some of you might recall that, I got to put these back on because I'm going to read you some. Some years ago, we were down in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, when the news hit that a cannibal, was called a cannibal CME, was headed towards Earth, and that's when a CME is headed toward us, and then it is gobbled up by a larger one that's coming faster and gobbles it up, and then they both come at us. Everything was fine then. Here's something that just hit. Powerful double eruption from the sun may produce auroras across 17 states in the U.S., and there's more than that, okay? A dazzling and rare celestial event is lighting up headlines and skies alike this weekend, as 17 U.S. states are under upgraded alerts for viewing the northern lights following a powerful double eruption of the sun. Now, even though 17 states may be the ones that will see the auroras far south, it would have a much wider effect than that. Yeah, pretty sky for people in 17 states, maybe grid down in people across the nation, the hemisphere, the world, who knows? There's disagreement on all this, but this is why I explain to people that the one thing you ought to be preparing for is a CME, because it is assured. It will happen. All these other things that people are afraid of every day may or may not happen. This is the big one. And by the big one, I mean that this is the one that is existential. A collapse of the banking system, yeah, going to be a problem. Collapse of the government, yeah, going to be a problem. War between China and us, problem. Middle East, problem, whatever. This is existential. And I think that this is so big that many people don't even think to prepare for it, but is the one thing that you should be. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration issued a G4, or severe geomagnetic storm watch, one of the highest levels of alert, and after two massive coronal mass ejections erupted from the sun earlier this week. According to Forbes, the NOAA's Space Weather Prediction Center said in an alert on Friday that the Earth-directed CMEs, Earth-directed, not going someplace else, it's directed at us, could disrupt satellite communications and power grids. Okay, so that's the thing. You will probably, and it's supposed to arrive Friday, did I say that? So you might experience at the low end some disruptions in your cell phone calls or any other kind of reception. But the far end of that spectrum is grid down. Okay, now, what is the chance of this happening? I don't know. You don't know. There will be people will come on and say, "Oh, nothing's going to happen." And why do they say it? Because it hasn't happened in their lifetime before, and so therefore, according to them, it couldn't happen now. Well, the Carrington event that happened in 1859, it took out pretty much all the electrical system, which at the time was only the telegraph. And I write about that in a little bit of my books. But now we are electrical dependent. We are electronics dependent. And if it hits it now, it is an existential threat. It takes us back to about the 1840s, not the Stone Age, like some people will try to convince you of. I've heard other channels talking about taking us back to the Stone Age. No, it's not. About the 1840s, pre-electrical. Okay. Now, is that a danger? Yeah, it's a danger because most people are dependent on electricity for their comforts, but many for their lives. If the grid goes down, thousands of people start dying immediately. from those who are dependent on it for their in hospitals, at home, depending on electrically supplied health care, uh, trapped in elevators all across the country, all sorts of things. Does it disrupt airplanes in the air? There's argument about that. Do they head for the ground and start crashing? We don't know. We don't know. Um, but what I described at the beginning, now we're in a slow roll to the 90% of people in an affected area being, dying within the first 12 months. And I won't argue with that. So what should we expect? Well, we don't know what to expect. That's the thing. We don't know what to expect. To bet that it won't happen is, up till now it's been a winner's bet, right? Is it always going to be a winner's bet? No, it won't. Science tells us that it won't. One of these days, it's going to happen. Will it be Friday? I don't know. I hope not, because I have plans for Saturday, right? And Sunday. It's Easter coming up. But if it does, it'll still be Saturday. It'll still be Easter. And some of us will be able to continue on with our lives pretty much, much changed, but pretty much without a major disruption in the way that we live. Okay. Others will begin their downward descent. And the kind of deaths that would occur as a result of this are gruesome. Gruesome. I write about it in my books. Others have too. So what should you do? Well, how ready are you? I made one the other day about what is your why? Why are you preparing? What is that you are preparing for? And I said, it should be to make sure that you and those who depend on you continue living a quality life, or as close to a quality life as you can after whatever the event is. Okay, that should be your goal here. But how prepared are you for a CME? Are you distracted by what's going on in the news? Are you distracted by the fear porn? Some people will say, well, this is fear porn. Well, no, actually, this is science. Science. And I write about it a lot. I'll tell you where you can get the whole story. I wrote 7 books about this. It's the Stonemont series. I should get them a little bit neater so it's more visually appealing to you. I'm getting too many books. I can't hold them in one hand. The Stonemont series is a series of books that I wrote about a earth-killing CME. The reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, hostages to fortune, and the latest one, On Wings Like Eagles. I say they are the complete set for explaining how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a total collapse of everything in the world. I'll tell you how to get them in a couple of minutes, but I want to go back to talking about this. If it throws us back to the 1840s, what does that mean? Well, we will have lost the technology, but we will not have lost the knowledge. Okay? 1 year later, 90%, just imagine this, 90% of the people are dead, and they've died gruesome deaths. Deaths of violence, deaths of starvation, deaths of dehydration, deaths of dying from bad water, bad food, all the accidents that can happen. We have no emergency medical services, no law enforcement response after a couple of days because all those guys are going home to their families. Trust me. No fire protection because all those guys are going home to be with their families once they have figured out. There may be a few that stay, those without families. But after they figured out after a few days, we have a real problem. They're going to their families because families are their first consideration for most of them. Okay. So is this what you've been preparing for? Probably not, because most people out there, again, have been kind of they've had their attention drawn away from what we are told will happen and that which is the existential threat. And some people don't know what existential means. It means your existence. It threatens your very existence and the existence of the world as we know it, right? The end of the world as we know it, that's what Teotihuacan means, right? And so being distracted by all these other things, they haven't planned for this. But that's what I always say, prepare for the big one. Prepared for CME. Or grid down for whatever you think it might happen. Because that's assured. And when that comes, it's all on the table. Now, so how prepared are you? Have you thought about that? I'm going to give a test here. I'm going to give a test and some training. And it starts here. I had somebody on, was it yesterday's video, to show you how soft people are and how weak people are. Yesterday, somebody said, I think as they started with 1820 or 1840, and that meant how many minutes and seconds into the video, right? So they had watched over 18 minutes of that video, and you know what their comment was? Please don't swallow so loudly. And then they put in a profanity. 18 minutes listening to what I try to put into information and help. And what their takeaway is, please don't swallow your coffee so loudly. Let me give some people out there who need it a little test and a little training. Listen close. Now, for anybody who was inordinately disturbed by that, you're not going to last a week. When the grid goes down, if we have a CME, what in the world? You know, I said the other day that so much of the prepper world is taken up by spectators, not serious preppers, and certainly not PMPs, which is preparedness-minded people. But not people like that who have taken some energy, put some thought into it, and put some energy to actually preparing. Most, I don't know what percentage, I bet it's a majority, I bet it's over 50% of people who watch these preparedness videos do so for pure entertainment. They're the ones who aren't going to make it. And then there are others who will watch and kind of say, well, I kind of like that, you know, I like that, maybe I'll do that. And they watch a bunch of videos, and so they have a lot of ideas, but they've never really put those ideas into practice. And they're not going to make it either. Where it all starts is mindset, of course. Accepting what can happen. Accepting that it probably will happen. And then realizing that it's up to you to take care of it, to prepare for it, and accepting that responsibility for your own safety and responsibility for the safety and further welfare of those who depend on you. That's what's going to separate those who survive from those who don't. Now, that's why I wrote my books. When I realized that a CME was, according to science, not just a probability, but a certainty, I realized that was the big game changer. That was a bigger game changer than when we used to worry in the 50s and 60s about the Ruskies bombing us, you know, atomic, nuclear, and you know, and now we're not protected by those grade school desks that would have protected us from a nuclear attack, right? When I realized that this CME was a certainty, that's when my preparedness started changing into a more complete preparedness plan. And so should yours, and I hope that they are. This Friday, will it be it? I don't know. Chances are probably not, but someday it will be. And whether that someday is 5 years from now, 1 year from now, or Friday, you have to ask yourself, are you ready? And if you're not, get ready. Okay? That's what these are about. Like I say, I wrote them to tell people how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a total collapse of everything. It's a great story. You will learn more than you can imagine, but you'll get caught up in the story, and you'll love it. Somebody said the other day they're starting to read through the series a 5th time because they learned so much, but they love the story also. Where do you get them? That's what I wanted to tell you about this. You can get them from Amazon, and this brings us up about this possibility of this double CME this Friday. This is what you need to know. I'll just put it that way. Okay, I don't, whatever Xi Jinping, whatever his name is, does, not gonna matter if this happens. Whatever Iran does, not gonna matter if this happens. You can get them on Amazon. That link is down below. Or you can get them a better way, which is from me, through our website, stonemont.us. If you get them from me, I sign them for you, put a little note in there for you, and I give them, if you order the whole set, which you can only do through our website, you can't do that through Amazon, then we give you a discount, because we save money on this package and shipping and everything when we send them as a set, and we put in the Stonemont notebook. Now, if that CME doesn't hit Friday, you won't receive your orders in time. Let me just put it that way. But chances are it's not going to be Friday. Probably won't be the big one. You might experience some communications outages. Who knows? But if it is the big one, you won't care that you haven't received these, right? But if it's not the big one, reading these and getting started as quickly as you can will be very helpful. It will change the way you prepare. I guarantee that. It will change the way you prepare. So every time one of these alerts come out, I use it as a training and an educational opportunity to remind ourselves of the again, probability, certainty of the big one. We allow our some people do, I don't, and many of the PMPs don't. Too many people allow themselves to be distracted by these little emergencies of the day, because you hear it all around you, right? You hear it on the news, you hear it on other channels. Inflation, depression, recession, war, all this. Well, all of those are considerations, and they can certainly have an impact on you. And you should be prepared for that, but this is the one that takes it all down. And that's why I suggest that people prepare for a CME. Because if you're prepared for a CME, you're prepared for anything else. And those books tell you exactly how to do it. Okay? All right. That's the sobering warning for today. Most people won't take it seriously because they can't wrap their mind around it. So much easier to worry about tariffs, right? But this is the one you need to worry about and prepare for. So, I have a full day. I'll tell you, maybe tomorrow, what I've been doing the last few days. Is very interesting. But for now, think about it. Think about it hard. Are you ready? Do you understand? Do you really understand the total ramifications of a CME? And I don't think most people do. I even see videos on other channels that talk about it, and they don't. But you need to. Get ready. And remember, we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And you're only going to live as well as you prepare to. So get out there and do it, okay? All right. Y'all have a good one. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.